How do you guys keep them off the screens? Because that's one thing that every parent has got an iPad, and they're take the iPad and you're
that's not a parent. That's not a parent.
I understand, but what do you guys do? Is that off limits when you get in? Like, hey, dude,
we're also shaping parents. So when I said every dad needs to be in this program, like if you're having your first kid and you don't have a roadmap of what it looks like to be a good father, you need to be part of Apogee Strong, and being that you can be there. That's different than being present. You know, that intentionality, that discipline, that regiment that a father should have for his family, for his wife, creating that environment where they can thrive and meet their potential. That is a really hard, difficult thing that takes responsibility. You know, another thing that doesn't exist right now. So yes, the iPad, the phone, you know, it can be our demise as well. And ultimately it's discipline. It's discipline. You know, I can't say, no, you can't have your phone. I can say, you have to have discipline. Here is your purpose. Here are all the things that you have to accomplish in this day. Did you work out? Did you journal? Did you finish your reading? How were you at school? How were your peers? Have you already connected with your team? These are all things that are purpose driven. And this is what we did in the military, right? We all the way down to a cell. You know, you have your platoon, you have your squad, then you have your team, and then you have your cell, and like all the way down to like the 2, 3, 4-man group. We are vertically empowering and giving responsibility to the lowest level for these young men to be responsible.
Yep. And they're monitoring from the time they get up to the time they go to bed. That's the first thing they start doing is they start tracking what does my day actually look like? And they start filling those blocks with all of their responsibility first. We want them to understand responsibility and freedom, two sides of the same coin, right? But responsibility's got to come first before you earn your freedom. So you take care of the responsibilities, you take care of developing those habits, then the freedoms open up. But then let's talk about those freedoms too. How do we use that wisely? How do we use the screens as a tool, right? It's a tool. You can do some great things with that. You can fuck off with that, right?
Sure.
So how are we going to use that as a tool? And we have those conversations consistently. Now for the Apogee Strong young men too, they do have one of their projects, one of their challenges is they do go 30 days without anything other than jumping on the calls with us and with the mentors. They do nothing for 30 days and they log. How did that happen? And these young men are reporting, some of them physiological responses. They're like, I went 3 hours and it was like I actually got anxious.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
100%.
I'm sure because I see it out all the time, and we limit it at our house. So we have an hour, and that's about it, right?
Yep.
And how you want to spend that hour is how you want to spend that hour. Yep. And if you want to watch something, Dad will watch a movie with you or watch a television show with you. But we're not going to be glued to a goddamn screen all day.
Right.
How did you guys land on age 11 in particular?
So it's not it depends. That we have a stud of a young man that came in at 11. Matt, the majority in the bell curve from 11 to 30, like 90% of them. And we did this pilot year to proof of concept. Does this work? Is this the right roadmap? As Matt's making changes and figuring out different books and selecting how does this process work, and then with the dads duplicating this to the age-appropriate responsibilities and purpose that a dad should have as a good masculine leader, as a father in his household. And, some as young as 11, but, almost all of them in that 13,
14, 15. Like, I mean, that's again, it is a bell curve, right?
Sure.
So, but the young ones, I mean, I'm absolute freaking stud. That's a mature, it's not somebody you would talk to and think it's an 11.
Well, the reason I ask, is there an interview process with the child like themselves before they're able to be accepted into the program? How does that work? Or do you sit with the child and the father or mother or however?
That's a good question. So for the young men, so we got the two splits, right? You got the young men's program and you got the dad's program. The dads absolutely have to apply because I don't want grown men that are coming in going, fix me, I'm completely broken, I've got nothing to bring to the table, I've got nothing. We're not going to try to save anybody. We're giving a roadmap and we're going to need you to tackle it, and there's going to be accountability around that, right? So dads have an application and interview process. For the young men, they can come in and enroll and get in, and then they get a series of things that they've got to go do first before they jump on the call. So they go through having to sign an Apogee code. That's like a Bushido code. They've got the parents that are signing off on, yes, we're going to hold accountability.
You would love this
right?
code.
We've got this entire
like a real
thing that they've
Bushido
got to
code.
go through first.
Okay.
And then they can start coming to the calls. And then when they're on the calls, we're going to ask them to introduce themselves, talk about it, and we're going to gauge based on, and all the other peers are gauging too, based on, okay, well, what does that interaction look like? Are they yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am? Are they jumping in to what the code has kind of instructed for them. And if not, if they start missing some of these marks on some of their projects and challenges, they're not connecting with their brothers we got a private platform, they're not submitting their work, they're not.
You're gone.
Then they're gone.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
And where can everybody go for this online to find you guys?
So ApogeeStrong.com is for the young men. ApogeeStrongDads.com is for the dads.
That's awesome. And what was the decision between the both of you to even start this? I mean, Tim, you do a million things. You're all over the world. I can't imagine you adding one more thing to your plate at this point. What was the decision for you personally to get involved?
I mean, how many active shooters do we need to see before I say these young men are broken, right? Like, how many more boys do I need to see walking down the road that have lost purpose and have no idea even what their gender is? Like, how many more boys do I need to see come in and apply to work for me and they bring no value whatsoever? Coming from great universities, but like, they have no grit whatsoever. Like, at what point do I look at how many times have I been overseas? How many times, have I lost friends? How many Purple Hearts have I been present to see my friends get to receive? For what? To watch America fall, to watch us break, and we are breaking. I think we are at a tipping point where if we do not right the ship, if we do not have young men and young women become real leaders in their communities, we're done. Yep. We're broken. Yep. There is no future for us.
Yep. And the sad reality is, or not, maybe it's not sad, maybe it's just the reality, is that we're not going to be able to reach that kid who is going to be the school shooter at some point, but his peers will be able to do that, right?
Right.
And this is a force multiplier type of situation.
Just to find the soft model, right?
Yeah.
And that is exactly what this is. This is the Special Operation Forces model force multiplication. Like, I cannot take a Matt and put him into every single school in this nation. But what I can do is take a Matt and have this vertical where he is talking to thousands of kids and tens of thousands of dads. Mm-hmm. And all of those kids are in private schools, in public schools, in home schools, or they're in homeschool co-ops. And they are natural leaders. And they are learning what discipline looks like. They're learning what regiment looks like. That is the model.
Mm.
You just, damn it.
Yeah.
You figured it out. Yeah. Force multiplication.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. It's interesting because I haven't heard this before. Usually there's, somebody who started a program or whatever, and it's like the first time I'm hearing about any of it. And it's crazy. Are you a father yourself?
Yes, sir.
You are? How many kids do you have?
I've got 3. 11, 9, and 6.
Yeah, I've got 3 as well.
How old
are yours? Shit. Newborn now, so 7 months. I had to think about it. Thanks, man.
That's awesome.
8 and then 4 right now. And for me personally, like even talking to my 8-year-old, I think it was around 6 or 7. I sat him down and was like, "Hey, you are who you surround yourself with when you go to school." And my wife has had tough conversations about not getting into cars, vans, all this other shit, and it's like, hey. A lot of parents don't do that.
No, they don't.
And some parents will come up and say, hey, your kid said this about not getting in a van and why you could get stolen and everything else. She was like, yeah, I did say that. And was like,
and?
Well, that exactly. And was like, well, it freaked out my child. And it was like,
well, your child's a pussy.
Well, not only that, but your child should be freaked out because it could happen to you.
What would
you could get taken.
Would you rather the kid be freaked out or kidnapped?
I'm not sure. And that's, this is the fucking thing that I look at these people, I'm like, what the fuck are you, like, what would you prefer? Like, not saying anything is like, well, the kid got taken and that, that happens. It's fucking insane to me. The other part about this, going back to the school shooters, is, with all of us having kids and young children, with the Uvalde thing in particular, that was another topic of debate that came up around parents at a gathering recently. And one of the parents had said, somebody had mentioned, what had happened at Uvalde and everything else. And, they were 7, 8 years old. And it was like, like that's all over the news, right? I'm not going to stop the 5 o'clock news from being on and everything else. Do you think that you should have those conversations with your kids, and at what age, about school shooting and everything else?
Yeah. On the security consulting side and the sheepdog response side, we had a lot of government and state and federal coming to us and be like, hey, can you help us fix this? Can you emergency action plans for schools? Can you help harden these facilities? And these are all things that they should do. They absolutely should. But that's still not going to fix the problem. You can pass whatever gun laws you want. It still will not fix the problem. The problem is that young men are being broken. They are being broken at a young age, and this is the roadmap of fixing them. To have those tough conversations, for in my home, when my big girls, my college age daughters are at the house, you know, like if somebody comes or the alarm goes off, it's a very different conversation with my 3-year-old who, when the alarm goes off, you know, like we've talked about this. She's going to stay right where she is and we're going to come get her.
Yep.
My 7-year-old is going to go to his mom, you know, and my big girls, college students, like they're on the phone. One of them's pulling up the app, giving me information, you know, like the level of responsibility is appropriate for the age. But I think a lot of parents would be like, you've given what responsibility to, you know, a 7-year-old?
Yeah.
Well, it is the fault of us in this generation to have not been given or giving real responsibility at the earliest age, to have real conversations. They're hearing it everywhere. And if they're not hearing it from you, shame on you. They're not there is no age that is too early for you to have real conversations, because they're going to hear it. They're going to hear it on the news.
Yep.
They're going to see it on the iPad. They're going to hear it from their friends. And all of it is going to be through a lens that you do not control. And that shame on you for not being there.
That's exactly right.
And even like my 8 and 4-year-old, right?
Yeah.
So we played basketball the other day, and they wanted to get candy at the store afterwards, right? And even though it was just a simple game of basketball, I'll make them in with some laps, make 2 free throws, just get them used to the future. If that's what they want to do, I'm not going to force them into any sports, obviously. We go into Circle K, which is, you know, right up here on 290. My 8-year-old and 4-year-old, I'm pumping gas, and he's like, can we go in? And I was like, yeah, you guys can go in ahead of me. And I walk in 2 minutes later after pumping gas, and he's in there. My youngest is crying, and my 8-year-old is looking down on him. And I was like, why is he crying? And he was like, well, I yelled at him because I couldn't find him. And so I went, you know, through the store, and I said, don't leave my side. And youngest looks up at me, and he goes, why is he screaming at me? And I go, because he's your big brother, and he's protecting you, and that's exactly what he should do.
I see no problem here.
Me neither.
Yeah.
So you're going to wipe the tears
Sustain,
and move on with your
sustain.
day.
Yeah.
And there was actually another father there who had stopped me, and he was like, hey, it's nice to hear you talk to your kids like that. I do with mine, but he goes, there's a lot of parents out there that don't do that shit.
Yeah.
And I guess it still shocks me, but I see it all the time in neighborhoods and functions and all that shit, and it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely crazy.
The lack of involvement and the lack of presence by parents right now is disturbing. If you put your phone down, as you should, and you lift your head up and you start looking around, it is the most tragic era that I have ever seen or I've ever heard about existing, where people are so complacent, so entitled, and so the worst form of insult, the worst, like you could call me every single name, you could try to stab me in the back, is that you just don't care, right?
Right.
Like you're just whatever.
Yeah, you're just kind of there.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, and that's how parents are right now to their children, or even more dangerous, where they hover over every single decision and never allowing them to have any responsibility, which is as damaging as not being present.
You bet.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then with Uvalde, for example, right? With your kids, do you explain what happened to them? Because I don't know about your school, but like they're already doing active shooter drills in elementary schools and public schools here. Do you explain to them, this is what happened down there, this is why these kids got killed, and what do you guys say?
So for my own kids, I mean, they've heard, right, that this is the
Right.
thing, and so we've had conversations like, look, yeah, this is unfortunately what happens, and here's why. And so we'll talk about the problems that that young man has at home, and we'll talk about the fact that he doesn't have leadership at home. We'll talk about some of the reasons. We're not going to sit and harp on, hey, and he went in and then he murdered. Like, we're not going to. That's not the conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine all these young kids. Like, we're not doing that to the kids. We're going, look, here's the issue, and here's the solution. Here's how we fix it, and we focus the conversation on the solution. We're always focusing on what is the solution? What are the good habits that need to be built so that this doesn't happen anymore? What is our response to this, right? We've got 11 rules in our house, and it's our family contract, right? And so it's a contract, meaning we can all hold each other accountable to it, which means my kids can go, hey, Dad, you know, rule number 6 is no complaining, fix it. You kind of sound like you're complaining right now, right? Like what? And if they say that respectfully, then you know what, you're right. Okay,
Yeah.
I got to find that solution, right? So we operate from that lens. And so I'm always pointing them towards, okay, here's the solution. Here's what we're going to do to fix this. Here's what we're going to do to make sure nothing like this ever happens. So they're aware, but they're not focusing on that. Does that make sense?
We were too young, but our parents were told to hide underneath desks during the Cold War.
Sure.
Right? This is not some crazy era. Yes, the school shooter is a new thing, a new problem that we have to figure out and address and solve. But the conversations, these tough conversations, there were millions of Jews being murdered. Like, did they talk about it? You know,
Yeah.
like, why is dad hopping on a boat and going across the Atlantic? Like, we had to have that conversation, right?
Yeah.
Why was my dad drafted? Why do I have to be taught by my teacher to crawl underneath a desk if the siren goes off? Well, it's because Russia might send a nuclear bomb at us. You know, they're trying to put them into Cuba right now. Tough conversation. It is never too early to have real conversations, and if you don't have them, somebody else is going to.
Yeah.
So it's our responsibility, again, to be faithful in those small things. As a parent that loves our child and wants to watch them develop to be a contributing citizen, how does that look? Man, it's hard work, and it's being present.